It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions.
Touchdown, San Diego!
Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do, you do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, we welcome you to our Thursday podcast, Hacksaw's Headlines. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host with his opinions from left field, the venerable John Riley, King of the Castle. And we welcome you to our Thursday podcast, brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you. You got needs, you want ideas, they've got materials. They can be your best friend when it comes to renovations at home. Go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things that they have to offer. What a great sports weekend we have ahead of us. What a great week we have ahead of us, because things are churning in all the other sports aside from just NFL football and college football. John Riley, how are you?
Good. I mean, when you rolled in here, we were joking about how your head's about to explode with all the breaking news in the NFL and everywhere else.
There are so many stories to cover and to talk about. A note, we put topics on the table. We express opinions on these topics on the table because we do sports talk the way it should be done. And then we open it up to you. It's called Fans Forum. Those of you who've been a regular on the live stream know you can interact with us during the course of this podcast. Those of you new to the podcast, here's the explanation how Fans Forum works and how you can join us.
Yeah, pretty easy. Just type your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. We're live streaming on all those platforms. Get your question or comment there. Hacksaw will see it. We'll get you involved. We already had Casey and Michael already jumped on board, so jump on board, everyone else. Get involved in Fans Forum.
And as a side note, we want to know where you're watching us. Put your address, not your address, put your hometown. Put where you are. You might be in San Diego. You might be in LA. You might be in Ireland. You might be in Canada. You might be in South America. Let us know where you are following us in Fans Forum.
We got one right here. Here's a shout out from Michael. He said, good afternoon from Indy. Right there.
Very good.
Okay.
So, yeah, just put an asterisk and put where you're shooting us a Fans Forum item from. Also, want you to give us a thumbs up. Want us to hit the follow button. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps us grow this podcast. John, we got so many topics on the table. Let's just hit the floor running. And let's start, obviously, with what is just directly ahead, all things NFL football.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers-Ravens coaching exits, this has been huge news.
I'll tell you what, this has been some week. We have 2 Hall of Fame coaches, one removed, the other stepped aside. I had an NFL executive tell me last night he does not think, John, we will ever see this again. I said, see what? We will ever see 2 legendary coaches serve the length of time with one club with the track record of success John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin had. He just does not think this will ever happen again. One for 18 years, Harbaugh, the other for 19 years. Just quick responses. Harbaugh, obviously, with a record of 193 wins and 124 losses, ownership said it was time for a change. It was time to change the messenger. Mike Tomlin steps down. 194 wins, 114 losses, never had a losing season in 19 years. The Rooney family said yesterday morning it was his decision. It was a family decision. He says he does not want to coach, at least in 2026. In terms of Harbaugh, he reached the end of the road in terms of the message delivered to the Ravens and the responses he got. In terms of Tomlin, I was told by one of the guys that covers the Steelers in Pittsburgh that he was really offended by the reality that the fans had turned on him in the middle of the season, throughout the course of the season. He was really bothered by that. And he was really bothered by a number of former Steelers stars, namely Ben Roethlisberger and James Harrison, who just publicly went out on their own podcast and said it was time for a change. That being said, he's going to take a year off. I would assume a year from today, we'll be talking about Tomlin maybe getting right back in it. Of course, it may well be also a year from today. We're talking about Tomlin being on your TV and my TV, like Bill Cowher, for the rest of his life. So it's really interesting. But the NFL executive said we're never, probably ever, going to see this again. Two guys, one place for nearly 2 decades, almost 200 wins apiece. He says the NFL is so volatile, the work factor, the pressure, the burnout situation is so great. He just does not see that coming to fruition. And John Riley says,
yeah, I mean, the Harbaugh news, did that break like right after our Monday show, right? And then the Tomlin thing was interesting because we thought when the Steelers started winning at the end of the year, we thought Tomlin was out of the woods, like that he was going to be retained. But it just makes you wonder, these guys, to your point, they've been coaches forever. I don't think we're going to see that again. But has the game passed them by? I mean, I know that the Giants are flirting with Harbaugh, but are they investing in a guy whose brain is connected to the way the NFL was run 3 decades ago and not to the modern scientific offensive schemes we need today?
Is it a younger man's game in terms of the coaching staff? I think that's a legitimate question. Can you surround yourself and then be flexible to change who you are, what your standards are? That's a really intriguing aspect. Harbaugh refused to make changes to his staff. And Steve Biscotti, the owner, said, we're going to make a change at head coach then. Tomlin seemed to be inflexible, but that's an organizational thing, as I view it, because I don't think the Steelers have built their roster to compete in the modern-day NFL football, and Pittsburgh never solved the post-Ben Roethlisberger quarterback question. So 2 really great coaches, might be borderline Hall of Fame coaches, step aside. That's not the only change around the NFL. Let's go to the second topic on the table.
Well, talk about the Chargers here. Hey, they're looking for an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, end of the day, they failed Justin Herbert. This is on Harbaugh. This is on Greg Roman. This is not on the Chargers quarterback. Less than 24 hours after the ugly end to the season, on Sunday Night Football, Greg Roman removed his offensive coordinator. Mike Devlin fired as offensive line coach. Chargers have begun a search for a new offensive coordinator. Jim Harbaugh, in his end-of-season press conference at 11 o'clock this morning, just of the indication, we will get better. This quarterback is a winner. We will build a winner. The people who stay here will wind up being champions. That's nice. That's rhetoric. I haven't seen it in the 2 years. Here's the shocker. In 2 years, under Harbaugh and Greg Roman, Justin Herbert took 105 quarterback sacks. Wow. 105 sacks in 2 seasons. And there's a lot of idiots running around Los Angeles and Southern California saying it's on the quarterback. It's not on the quarterback. It's on everything around the quarterback that coach and the assistant coordinator never fixed. Where are they going? Boy, there's some good people out there. Do they have to be Harbaugh people, or can Harbaugh think outside the box and get somebody different? Amongst those that they want to interview, David Shaw, former Stanford head coach, bright light, worked with Harbaugh, Stanford and San Francisco. Brian Daboll, fired New York Giants head coach, still a really good X's and O's guy. Now, I don't think he's going to surface as a head coach again in the immediate near future, but he's dynamic enough to be different offensively with Justin Herbert. Daboll. Tommy Rees, offensive coordinator, Cleveland. Now, that's been a quarterback quandary of problems, but Tommy Rees has pretty good passing credentials in terms of creative stuff. I think he's going to get an interview. Davis Webb, the passing game coordinator with Sean Payton up in Denver. He's on the brink because he got out of the NFL as a young quarterback and went right into coaching. Davis Webb, Denver, probably wound up getting interviewed. And a name that they just asked for permission to interview, but they can't touch him yet because his team is still in the playoffs, the Rams passing game coordinator, Nate Scheelhaase. Bright guy, interviewing a bunch of places. Chargers want to talk to him. So it's fascinating to me that Harbaugh admits we did not get the job done. Now, will Harbaugh change his ways, bring somebody in with some other dynamics aside from Greg Roman? They got to fix the offensive line. That has turned out to be a miserable failure. And I'm sorry. I close my eyes and I see Justin Herbert getting plastered that whole game in Houston and 105 quarterback sacks in 2 years. So they really got to make some changes there. What do you think?
Yeah, imagine if you're a quarterback, you get hit by Myles Garrett 50 times a year. I mean, it's literally crushing.
My biggest fear, he winds up like Andrew Luck. He wakes up hurt, and he wakes up unwilling to do it anymore.
He still has a fire. I don't think he's going to be unwilling, but you're right. He could get injured. It's a tricky thing. Remember when Greg Roman was here? And they got Harbaugh and Roman were saying, they're going to go for the running game just like they did with Michigan. We're going to have some tough, tailbacks. Our offensive line's going to open up holes. Obviously, that went south. But it makes you wonder, like, Herbert is an elite quarterback in terms of a passer and a runner. Why would you want to have like a power running game? It just seems like everything about the philosophy and everything just didn't work.
Square peg, round hole.
Yes.
So that's where we are, all things Chargers. So if you want to talk about Tomlin, Harbaugh, and the Charger decision, Fans Forum chat box is open, first come, first serve, looking for NFL fans to jump in here and give us an opinion. We go from that to the jobs that are open and one that's closing.
Yeah, one that's closing, but let's get to the list right here.
Let's start with the New York Football Giants. John Harbaugh met for 9 hours yesterday with the New York Giants. It is the only in-person meeting he has taken. He went back to his home in Baltimore. They're negotiating at this hour. I would assume by nightfall, Harbaugh is going to be the head coach, and he's bringing a whole bunch of his Baltimore staff with him. I was told the deal could be as much as 5 years, $15 million per, which would put him upper echelon. When we broke down last week, which were the best coaching jobs are open, the Giants. Quarterback in place, Jackson Dart. By the way, Dart had a private meeting with Harbaugh during this 9-hour session there. Running back, Scatterboo. 2 deep at wide receiver. And a load of defensive players that need guidance, led by Abdul Carter. Didn't play very well last year, but there's a lot of blue-chip talent on that roster. So Harbaugh, it sure looks as if about to become the head coach of the New York Giants. So when the first domino falls, that means a lot of other dominoes are going to start to fall quickly. Second one's the Baltimore Ravens. Jesse Minter, Charger defensive coordinator. First man in. I think they're going to interview him. He's got lots of ties to John Harbaugh, obviously worked for Jim Harbaugh. Second guy in that mix in Baltimore, if it's not Jesse Minter, would be Kevin Stefanski, the post coach, Cleveland, 2-time coach of the year, quarterback guru. It'd be interesting to see that playbook with Stefanski linked to the athleticism of Lamar Jackson and the heavy-duty running back that is Derrick Henry. Mike McDaniel fired Miami. He's interviewed already. He's getting a lot of calls for a guy that got thrown out of Miami. He's getting a lot of calls for a head coaching job to other places. So those are the hot names in Baltimore. I tend to think Minter's the right guy. Pittsburgh, the guy they wanted to talk to is elected not to talk to them. Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame, has elected to stay in South Bend. They are going to interview Minter of the Chargers. They want to interview Brian Flores, defensive coordinator, Minnesota Vikings, who's kind of rebuilt his resume. But they're also talking about modernizing everything. They have to modernize the roster, but they want to talk to Nate Shieldhouse also of the Los Angeles Rams. Miami, Stefanski seems to be the hot name there, but that's a quarterback issue. Nobody really knows whether Tua can play in the NFL, stay healthy in the NFL, and then you got to deal with the Tyreek situation. I know it's South Florida, but Stefanski seems to be a unique name there in Miami. Atlanta, Stefanski or Mike McDaniel. They need somebody to figure out what they do with Michael Penix. Can they grow him to be more explosive? Got a lot of talent around him. The running back Bijan Robinson, obviously Drake London, a star wide receiver, really good tight end in Kyle Pitts. So Atlanta is in the mix. So Stefanski and McDaniel seem to be really hot names. Amongst the other 9 openings, Raiders, I find this hard to believe. But Minter of the Chargers is going to interview with Tom Brady and John Spytek with the Raiders. Raiders are also interested in Mike LaFleur, quarterback coach, Rams, Sean McVay's staff. Arizona seems to be looking at defense. Robert Saleh, San Francisco, is going to interview with them as soon as the Niners season is over. Tennessee. This has been kind of unique. I thought Mike McCarthy would get a lot of interviews. Mike McCarthy has one interview. It's Sunday with the Tennessee Titans. McCarthy, the former Packer Cowboys coach. Walk in the front door, you got the quarterback Cam Ward, but you got to fix the offensive line. You got enough running backs. Mike McDaniel's name has also been mentioned on the periphery there. And then in Cleveland, hell, I don't know. They don't have a quarterback. Andrew Berry, the general manager, just announced Deshaun Watson will compete for the starting job next season with Shedeur Sanders. Well, they're stuck with Watson, his contract, his attitude, and his bad resume. But that Cleveland situation is so screwed up now. They do have draft picks, and they've got cap space, and they got to fix the offensive line. They're looking for somebody with offensive ties. I don't know if McDaniel would go there. That'd be my last choice. More likely coach might be just produce from within and promote Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator, to move up the ladder and then try to solve with a coordinator what your quarterback situation is. So, John, we're just juggling balls here. There are so many names out there to talk about and to cover, but go ahead. Start with John Harbaugh in New York, go to Baltimore, and weave your way through what you want to talk about.
Well, there are just so many names. I'll just say this, is that it's nice that a lot of young guys are being interviewed. These so-called bright lights that we've talked about, because the dudes that are veterans that are on the list, they're not really retreads, they're like legit Super Bowl quarterbacks, head coaches, pardon me. But I wanted to ask you this. Obviously, every one of those teams wants to have some knight in shining armor ride in on a white horse and transform the team from worst to first. But how often does that really happen in the NFL? And in your opinion, what are the greatest NFL coaching turnaround stories we've ever seen in the league?
Well, modern day, it has to be Dan Campbell, what Detroit became lickety-split. But again, what are you walking into? Are you walking into a job? Are you walking into a roster that's got talent? Are you taking a job for an owner who has no track record of success and it's been a fiasco? Are you taking a job where you got quarterback failures or quarterback injuries or cap problems, etc.? So every job you have to look at and say, okay, what are the positives and the negatives to these jobs? So I don't care what your philosophy is. What are you inheriting once you walk through the front door?
Well, it seems like it's a two-way interview.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me what you did, why you did it, because they'll come back and they'll ask you, what do you think of our roster? Can you fix it? So, it is complicated. It's just not a head coaching job. It's an organizational structure. Pittsburgh, prime example. Pittsburgh has been historically great since 1969. 3 coaches since 1969. Think about that.
That's wild.
Raiders have had 21 coaches in that span. But Pittsburgh philosophically seems behind the power curve in terms of who they draft, why they draft, what they're going to run. Because they're married to Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, run the damn football, play great defense, but everybody else is throwing the football down the field. So, you got great organization in Pittsburgh, but a little bit behind the power curve in terms of offensive philosophy. You go somewhere else that's got great quarterback, Baltimore, really legitimacy at owner in Bisciotti, but they got problems. And then you got the 3 Mile Islands of the world, the Arizonas and some of the other really bad
Raiders.
places in the little. You think? So that's the blueprint of what you're doing. Okay, you're an NFL fan. We put a lot of names out there. You want to mix and match somebody, feel free. Your fans forum chat box is open. I warned you there'd be a lot to talk about today. Next one, John.
Okay, they say playoffs?
Yeah.
We talking about the playoffs?
Oh, my goodness. Great week ahead of us. All right, just bullet points. Let's start in the NFC. Rams, Bears, Chicago. Did you see any video today of the weather in Chicago, the weather in South Bend?
It's brutal.
Oh, my God. Now, Sunday, the storms will have moved through. But we're talking by Sunday night, they are talking 22 degrees, wind chill 2. That's wicked. So the burning question is, who can survive bad weather? Matthew Stafford, Caleb Williams. The second question, how cool is this matchup going to be? All things Ben Johnson's playbook, Bears, versus all things Sean McVay's defense, Rams. And then, then you get into the situation where Chicago has to move the football because their defense gives up 361 yards per game. So they got to be able to move. But that's a Rams defense that has been playing pretty well. That being said, as crappy as the Bears defense is, Rams secondaries played really poor. A lot of penalties, a lot of mistakes, a lot of breakdowns. And then the intangible, aside from a wind chill factor of maybe 2 below, the wind itself. Will Stafford and Caleb Williams be able to whistle it through that wind and throw deep? On paper, I really like the Rams' skill people around Stafford. But the weather's going to play a role in this, and I don't care about the macho statements of the Rams quarterback. If that wind is blowing sideways, you got a problem throwing the football deep. So this is going to be a great game. Rams, Chicago. San Francisco, Seattle. Niners, to me, John, have exceeded all my expectations. What a job by Shanahan. What a job by John Lynch Jr., the general manager. You've got concerns, though. Brock Purdy's turning the football over a lot more in the last group of games. In fact, he's had a lot of turnovers in the 10 games that he's played this season. I mean, how the 49ers survived 3 Brock Purdy turnovers last weekend and still won the game. Wow. So that's a question. Christian McCaffrey is just a spectacular individual. But that Seattle defense is wicked. I would bet Seattle is going to try to take McCaffrey out of the game and just tell Brock Purdy, try to win it. Now, in terms of the Seahawks, it's kind of unique. They have just adopted the philosophy with Sam Darnold, let it rip. I mean, he's got over 4,000 yards passing right now. He does turn it over. No problem. Let it rip. We'll send the defense out there. Defense right now equals the Legion of Doom that they had prior in all those great seasons there. So that game is just going to be awesome. And by the way, pulling out all the stops, guess who's going to raise the number 12 flag at the stadium in Seattle before the game?
I don't know who.
The guy that took him to the Super Bowl, Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll?
He's going to run that 12th man flag up that pole for the fans.
Well, he's off this weekend.
Yeah, he's got time. So anyhow, that's my theory on the NFC games. Give me your spin. Rams, Bears, or Rams versus the Weatherman, and last chance saloon for the Niners in Seattle?
Well, let me just look at that. I mean, that's the NFC West representing right there.
Yep.
3 out of the 4 from the same division, all West Coast teams. I mean, I love that. But the way the Rams have been, like this last few weeks of the season, and even in that game against the Panthers, you think they're going to be able to get through like another game, like you survive and advance? I don't know. I mean, you say, how are they going to be able to throw the ball in the wind? Fortunately, in that Eagles-Niners game, Tom Brady taught everyone the right way to hold the ball and position it when you throw it in the wind. I know. I just got to go for the Bears at home. And I think that's going to be the winner there. And the Niners, man, they couldn't beat the Seahawks on the last game of the season in Santa Clara. And now they're going to have to go up to Seattle. But Fred Warner's back. I don't know how much he's going to play. So I don't know. The Brock Purdy still seems to pull rabbits out of the hat all the time.
I know he's turned the ball over a lot.
Yeah.
Since he came in 10 games, he's coughed it up a lot. And that's the Legion of Doom he's playing.
Yeah, but it's also Sam Darnold, and you're still not sure with Sam Darnold.
Okay, that's the NFC. Let's go to the AFC. That is Houston. That is New England. That is in Foxborough. What a job DeMeco Ryans has done. Pass rush extraordinaire. Ball hawking secondary, unbelievable. So I think Drake May and Stephon Diggs are really going to have their hands full with everything that Houston brings to the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the football. However, that being said, the Texans got to be freaked over this turnover situation with C.J. Stroud. I mean, he turned it over 3 more times, and they won last week. And if he starts turning it over in Foxborough, I think he's going to have a lot of problems there. Mayo, boy, what a warrior. I mean, what Drake Mayo did against the Chargers and Jesse Minter's defense, so he probably won't be bullied by all things Houston, but Houston's really, really good. Buffalo at Denver. You got the Orange Crush defense, 68 quarterback sacks, 32% conversion rate on third downs, make you go the long way virtually every possession, which is really hard. However, that is Superman. That is Josh Allen. That is a spectacular individual. I'll be intrigued to see if this Bills can run the ball with James Cook against Zach Allen and that Denver defensive front. Bo Nix, now he's had a bunch of explosive plays over the course of the season. He's facing a Bills defense, so it's given up only 293 yards per game. A Bills defense has got a pile of sacks, and they make it hard for you to score series after series after series. This to me is going to be a phenomenal matchup. Not so much Josh Allen versus Bo Nix, but Josh Allen versus the Orange Crush, Bo Nix against all things Joey Bosa. And a Buffalo defense is playing really good football right now. And your reaction?
What the heck was up with C.J. Stroud? That was like Butterfingers in that last game. And the ball was being snapped abnormally by the center. It was, C.J. Stroud's an interesting guy because remember when he came out, he was the number 2 pick that year, right? And there were some questions about, his football IQ, if he's going to be able to play at the NFL level. And then he proved it. He came out on the field and he was terrific. And now all of a sudden he's looking a little bit like a rookie again.
Yeah, shaky. Really shaky. Focus. And, I mean, it's just, when he has bad games, he really has bad games.
Yeah. I just can't figure it out. So, I mean, I don't know how you can think the Texans are going to win unless you're just kind of going on a hope and a prayer. And as far as the other game goes, I think I read recently that Buffalo hasn't won a road playoff game in years until this year.
Till Jacksonville.
Yeah. So they haven't had road wins in the playoffs, and you think they're going to do 2 in a row? That's a tall task. That Denver defense, I mean, I've watched some of those games this year, and they were just ferocious. So it's got to be the 2 home teams, Denver and New England.
I don't know. I'm picking Josh Allen. I'm not doing it just to be obstinate because you're sitting across the table from me.
Well, you're a New York State guy.
Yeah, I'm picking Buffalo to win. The fact that Drake may survive the Chargers, I think he can survive Houston, and I don't trust C.J. Stroud. So I'm going to pick Buffalo. I'm going to pick New England. Unfortunately, I'm going to pick Seattle, and I'm going for the Rams to beat DODGERS.
All right.
Okay. You have an opinion? Hey, second weekend, NFL playoffs. Fans forum chat box is open. Express an opinion. We go from that to the other big college football game that's going to be played Monday night.
This is going to be awesome. Indiana and Miami.
Boy, these 2 guys are possessed. Great headline. Pictures. Signetti, 26-2. How about Cristobal? Came from the University of Oregon. What he has done in terms of stockpiling players, spectacular. Miami's pass rush is fierce. Line of scrimmage, though, they got banged around a little bit. Indiana, they just play sledgehammer football. They play 4 quarters of football, and by the 4th quarter, they've usually beaten your brains out somewhere along the way. I'll be intrigued to see whether they can run the football and take the pressure off Mendoza, or whether Mendoza's going to have to throw it. I think Carson Beck's going to have his hands full as Miami's quarterback, because I just think that defensive front 7 and now the growth of all these kids on the back end for IU, that is a complete defensive football team. I think it's going to wind up being a line of scrimmage game. And by the way, I was looking at the rosters. How about this stat? Miami, they got 5 5-star recruits.
Mm-hmm.
They have 32 4-star recruits. Cristobal's a great recruiter, okay? Indiana's got no 5 stars. Indiana's only got 6 4-stars. Think about the quality on one side of the roster versus who Indiana's become. But Indiana's kids are warriors who came through the transfer portal. Who's going to win? I think Indiana does to Miami what Indiana's done to everybody they have played through the course of the year. Ask Ohio State. Ask Dan Lanning at Oregon twice. I got IU raising the trophy. Wow. Go ahead.
I mean, the whole Indiana thing, it's almost hard to believe it's happening in reality. Now, what's the deal with Cignati? Is it what they're calling him now instead of Cignati? How has he been able to do this? I know it's NIL and they could buy players, and I know they're recruiting transfers, but to your point, they don't have the elite of the elite talent. So what is it about him as a coach, as a leader, as a culture creator, as an offensive or defensive guru that makes him so elite?
He recruits a certain type of persona, and they coaches them to the T. I mean, your favorite word, culture. He handpicked every one of these kids. Every one of these kids is a warrior. A whole pile of that roster came from James Madison.
Right.
And then he went into the portal. So they know who he is and how to respond to him. I think in the big picture, that's why he's 26-2. Now, the burning question, the doubters that are out there of the opinion, well, we'll see if we can do it next year. Yeah, that's fine. But he's 26-2 already. He's got the top transfer quarterback from the portal coming in from TCU next year to replace Mendoza. And they've got a load more transfers coming in, plus what he's done in recruiting. So, I mean, he's just driven. Cristobal's driven, too. A different type of coach, different player acquisitions. But this will be a good game.
It's like they put something in the drinking water in Bloomington because it's been so transformational.
Yes, in 2 years.
It's radical what's happened at Indiana. That's why I think, he picks the right kind of guy and he knows how to coach him up, but there's got to be something that he sees in the game that other coaches fail to see.
The mandate of how you prepare and you leave no stone unturned. I mean, that's what the kids say as to what they've accomplished. So, who do you think's going to win? Fans Forum is available for you to participate. Indiana versus Miami. I don't know anybody that thought these would be the two teams and be playing in the championship game. Okay, we'll go from that. Before we get to halftime, quickly, let's check the college football notebook storyline.
Notebook here, we got UCLA and, actually all the SoCal teams.
Yeah, let's first of all start about the NCAA. Do you know, as of yesterday, transfer portal, over 10,000 players went into the portal in 10 days. Over 10,000. There's not 10,000 scholarships available.
That's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. However, the Coaches Association just met this past week, and when I get with Sean Lewis, I will ask Sean Lewis, why the hell did this happen? There was a great debate in the Coaches Association about a rule change that they're recommending to the Division I committee to vote on. It has to do with how long players can play. The old rule was you have 5 years to get 4 years in. There's a redshirt year. There could be an injury year. There was a COVID year. Well, it came up for discussion now about kids shutting themselves down to preserve a year. Coaches came back with the idea, let's just give everybody 5 years to get 5 in, and that's it. Simplify it. No exceptions to the rule. And instead, they were fearful of lawsuits. And instead, they came back and said, okay, we're going to change the redshirt rule instead. So the redshirt rule was, John Riley, you can play 4 games in a season. And if we're going to preserve this year that you're playing, that's all you can play. We'll redshirt you, play next year. Now they came back, the coaches just voted and said, John Riley, you can play 9 games in any given year. As long as you don't play more than a 9th game, you can use that as a redshirt year. Which to me is stupid.
And that's like more than half the season.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you just go 5 years, get your 5 seasons in? So anyhow, that's where it is. I don't know whether the Division I committee that votes on the coaches' recommendations will go for it. Quickly, transfer portal. Bob Chesney, new coach, UCLA. 26 transfers in a week and a half, including 10 from James Madison.
Wow.
So he's kind of hit the floor running.
The boys.
USC. Now, Lincoln Riley will tell you about Windows open. We're going to be great. Well, I don't know about that. He just lost the quarterback of the future, Husan Longstreet, who was going to be the quarterback of the future, left. He signed with you-know-who at LSU, Lane Kiffin. So that's a blow. USC's only gotten 8 players in the transfer portal so far, which is kind of stunning. Now, they did have the number 1 recruiting class. San Diego State. I've bemoaned the fact I feel bad that Sean Lewis has not been able to retain players. Everybody's tampering with all of his guys. And at one point, he had 25 guys in the transfer portal. A couple have drifted back because they couldn't find the offers they wanted. Anyhow, he signed 16 transfers as of this morning that I know of. Included in the group, big defensive tackle Colorado, linebacker Boston College, offensive tackle Rutgers, wide receiver Oregon, safety Oregon, and of course the first one that came through the door, quarterback, hot prospect, University of Kentucky. So he has kind of really bounced back. So that's kind of good news there. Couple other Aztec notes. Non-conference game. They just scheduled to play James Madison in a non-conference game in September. Nice. After James Madison got bought out by Virginia Tech. But the James Madison we're coming here won't be the James Madison we saw in the playoffs because all those kids are going to UCLA. Right. By the way, they play UCLA the week before they play James Madison. So that's that. And one other item. Rocky Long is coaching football again.
Yeah.
Ex-Aztec coach.
Yeah.
You know, there is counseling. You can go to a hospital and get a blood transfusion to get this coaching thing out of your system. Rocky Long has just been hired at age 75 to be a head coach at Bayfield High School, suburban Durango, Colorado, where he's kind of retired to. Rocky had spent a couple of years as a defensive consultant at Fort Lewis State, NAIA school in Colorado. So Rocky's back in it to a degree as a high school coach. He just can't get this thing out of his system. Why would I be critical of him? I can't get this out of my system either. Okay, John, go ahead quickly about the NCAA and run through those schools.
You come rolling in with a Delaware, what are they called again?
Blue Hens.
The Blue Hens.
Home of Joe Flacco, home of Rich Gannon, and home of alumni. My 2 brothers gave that to me for Christmas.
Right on. Good for you. So, first of all, Aztec Nation is actually pretty excited about a lot of these recruits. So there's hope. I mean, you were talking about they had 25 guys go out the door, but they've almost replaced at least that many bodies. But I'm seeing, guys that are coming from Oregon. There's some legit talent. Yep. But this NCAA story was interesting to me because just hypothetically, to make it easy, they can all play 5 years. That makes it harder on recruits to get recruited because there's less spots to go around. That also makes it harder to make teams because it's so competitive. And then it kind of creates a distortion on the other end with seniors that maybe they're not good enough to play at the next level, the NFL or the NBA, but they are making some nice bank with some NIL, and they want to stick around for that extra year, when otherwise they might not. So there's a lot of interesting incentives along the way. But, I commented last time, those rules used to be rigid, and now they're just kind of exceptions are made almost at a whim.
Yeah, and we're just waiting for the next lawsuit.
Yeah.
5 to get 5? No, I deserve 6. So they can't solve the problem. I thought 5 to get 5 made a hell of a lot of sense. But as you say, that impacts the high school kids too, because those kids are sticking around the SMUs or the Oregon States or wherever for 5 years if they can stay.
Yeah, if they're one of the good ones, they can stay, but that's a roster spot. That's a starting spot in the lineup.
Okay, we get to halftime. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of reasons for you to do business with DIXIELINE. Southern Californians been doing DIXIELINE business for more than 100 years, and they have so many things to offer you. John and I have laughed about broadcasting from the castle. He's the king of the castle here with his estate. He's got doors, he's got windows from DIXIELINE. I got doors, I got windows from DIXIELINE. Item 1, how does it work? My windows and doors from DIXIELINE, they keep the cold weather out in the winter. It's amazing. And today, it's 85 degrees in San Diego. I'm sorry, those of you long distance out of town. It's 85. It's keeping the hot weather, Santa Ana weather, out of my house, too. Doors and windows, the reason DIXIELINE is so successful.
Yeah. Sometimes you come over here and you're like, oh, my God, it's 105 degrees in my driveway, but it's nice and comfortable in your house. It's what's interesting, too, about the doors is like we got one of those custom front doors, because there's so many different kinds of front doors you can get and so many styles of front doors. And we got one that has like a little like a speakeasy window that you can look through. And like if you had to get a password or something, or like you're going up to a castle and you want to see someone. There's some really cool custom doors that are available at DIXIELINE, not just for your front door, but big doors, patio doors, bedroom doors. They got it all. And when it comes to doors and windows, DIXIELINE's the place to go.
If you're big in creative, big in designs, think doors, think windows. We're happy. Even the guy that owns the castle here at DIXIELINE Lumber. Hey, just a couple of other items. On this podcast, we put topics on the table, and when we're done telling you what we think, you get the invitation to jump in. We're looking for first-timers, new people, and make sure you put in there an asterisk where you're watching us on live stream. Jump on board in the fans forum chat box. In addition, you like sports? Have you ever checked my website? I write on it every day of the week. The address is right there at the top of the screen, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. When we're done with this podcast, just punch it up on the internet, take a look at it, read the best 15 minutes in sports every day. Read my one-man's opinion columns because I have things to say. I write a column a day, better than your damn newspaper, I'll guarantee you that. So check that out. You can help us grow this thing a great deal. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a fans salute. Want you to give us a 5-star rating. It helps us a great deal. Hit the follow button because that helps us grow this podcast at the same time. Want you to join me on social media, become part of the Twitter All-Star team. My handle is @Hacksaw1090, or just type in my name on X, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button there too. Share. Tell everybody in your address book, your Rolodex, whatever the hell the terminology is.
Rolodex.
Tell everybody that Hacksaw is back, and we do a big podcast Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. And subscribe. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, every time we put additional videos up on the YouTube channel, you will get the alert. I don't know if it's a red flag or a yellow flag or a green flag, but you'll get the alert. Ding, 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 ding. There's something new up on the YouTube channel. So we got it covered everywhere. I think John's got us on 12 different social media platforms.
Yeah, a bunch of them. And, like when we go live, like I get a notification on my Android phone, and it says, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton is live on YouTube, And so you just click on it, and boom, there you're there. So all good. Yeah, so many ways to get involved.
Okay, we move to the second half of this podcast because we are baseball-centric, and it may be the off-season, but it's a busy season in baseball. Let's talk Major League Baseball, John, because free agency is not done. The second wave is coming in.
Baseball, big dollars, big dominoes.
Yeah, let's just start. As we sit here on a Thursday, we are awaiting a decision within the hours on Kyle Tucker. The bidding has reopened for the ex-Cub, ex-Astro outfielder. The New York Mets want him. They're willing to pay high average. They're not willing to go 7 years. Now, the report out of New York yesterday was that they had made an offer of 3 years, $150 million for Kyle Tucker. Then they came back, I was told overnight, and threw a 4th-year option into it. Now, there's no opt-outs. So that's where we are at this point. It could be as much as 4 years, $200 million for Kyle Tucker. But at the same time, north of the border, in Toronto, they are reporting the Blue Jays have just made a flat-out 5-year offer to get Kyle Tucker. So that's a name worth watching. The Yankees, they are still trying to get a commitment from Cody Bellinger. The Yankees reportedly offered him 5 years, $150 million. The agent came back and asked for opt-outs. The Yankees had not yet responded to that. There is a report that the Yankees might be willing to add a 6th year, but it would be a club option, not a Bellinger option. They want him to earn anything beyond the 5-year deal. Phillies extended meeting with Bo Bichette. They want him to be their second baseman. Evidently, Philadelphia is going to take the JT Realmuto money and instead give it to Bo Bichette. Man, that'd be adding another really good bat. But his defensive metrics are not great whatsoever. Red Sox, man, they've been busy. They jumped back in yesterday. They just signed Ranger Suarez, Phillies left-hander, 5-year contract. So he goes in as now probably the number 2 starter behind Garrett Crochet. That's a really good Red Sox roster they've put together. Cardinals, they got rid of Nolan Arenado. He didn't wind up where we thought he was going to wind up. He wound up instead in the National League West. Arenado goes to Arizona. Now, clubs were interested in Arenado if St. Louis would pay a huge amount of the $42 million that was left on the deal. St. Louis said, we'll pay, but you got to give us good prospects if you're going to ask us to pour more money into it. The deal has been reported, Arenado and $26 million cash goes to Arizona. Arizona gives up their top Class A pitcher, Jesus Martinez. And by virtue of the deferred money the Cardinals owed him and the Rockies owed Arenado, Arizona pays Arenado just $5 million this season and $6 million next season. That's all they're going to pay to get Arenado. But that's an aging Arenado whose stats have gone down. But to get St. Louis to pour more money in, they had to give up Martinez, the top young pitcher. We told you a week ago he was on the trade block. Miami moved another starting pitcher out of there. They traded Ryan Weathers to Yankee Stadium. They get 4 prospects, including a 22 home run hitting teenage outfielder from Class A ball, Darren Lewis. That kind of looks like a win-win deal. Yankees get a rental pitcher because their staff is still recovering from surgeries. Miami gets more young players. So that's where we are, all things baseball. You like Tucker. I kind of like Bellinger more than I like Tucker. They're both obviously going to get mega contracts. What do you think?
I don't trust Bellinger. I mean, because he's had such an up and down in his career. And I don't know if I'm going to give him 5-6 years. At what does he want? $30 million a year, right? I mean, that's a big ask. So I don't know. It's interesting that Toronto is still very aggressive and they want to get involved with the Tucker acquisition. But I want to talk about the Phillies because this Ranger Suarez thing. That surprised me. I guess I knew he was on, he was a free agent. Was a free agent, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I knew he was out there, but we were already worried about, Real Muto was leaving. And, I mean, the Phillies have lost other players, but who have they added?
At this point, not very many, but they are very deep. They just want to change the mix in their roster, and their payroll's pretty high.
Yeah.
A.K.A. Bryce Harper and all that. Real Muto is obviously going to exit. I don't know how they're going to get out, but underneath the Nick Castellanos contract, which has still got one more year, it's got like $22 million left on it, and they're trying to move him, but he's not the player he was just 2 short years ago.
So look at all these guys. They're either moving them or they're letting them go. So it just makes you wonder what their crystal ball is telling them for a 3 or 4 year plan.
Well, their window is tight. They've had injury issues, etc. So it'll be intriguing to see what Philadelphia looks like by the time we get to opening day. But Bo Bichette can hit. Holy cow, can he hit?
Yeah. Will his knee hold up?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we are in baseball, the latest developments with the mega stars. If you're a baseball fan, join us. We go from that to what's happening here in San Diego.
Yeah, we got updates here on the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Angels.
Let's start first of all with Dodger baseball. I don't know what their thinking is, but obviously money's no object. The Dodgers are back in the Kyle Tucker deal. The Dodgers offered Tucker, but it's their contract, it's their rationale. The Dodgers are willing to give him the highest average, 50.
Wow.
Dodgers are willing to give Kyle Tucker 3 years, 150. The mandate is a whole bunch of deferrals, no interest. And the response was, do you want to win a World Series ring? Come to Dodger Stadium. So all of a sudden, the Dodgers are using different types of sales pitches on Kyle Tucker. Interesting to see where that goes. The Padres, they were in on Arenado, but the problem was they wanted St. Louis to pay a lot of the $42 million that was owed for Arenado. St. Louis said, yes, we want your top AA or single A pitching. Padres said no. Padres could have had Arenado at first base. They were allowed to talk to him about becoming a first baseman. He had agreed that if they wanted him to play first base, he'd go to first base. But again, his offensive numbers have kind of dipped really badly 2 years in a row. But if you get the guy for $5 million 1 year, $6 million the next year, like Arizona got, is that a positive? But the Padres refused to give up the top pitcher in Class A. So that's where the Padres are. By the way, Padres bring back Bud Black, pitching consultant. Bring back Will Myers.
Will Myers,
minor league hitting consultant.
Right on.
Other story, it's been reported and now confirmed through Sportico. I said this a month ago. Joe LaCobb is interested in buying the Padres, Golden State Warriors owner.
Yeah.
Joe LaCobb, not sure he wants to pay $2.5 billion, because that's the price tag that's being floated out there. Seidler family bought the team for $800 million. Asking price now, because prices on baseball franchises have gone up, $2.5 billion. The problem is, team is losing money. The team has a significant amount of operating debt. Team has debt for its share of Petco Park too. And the team has now constructed their total payroll and luxury tax is $268 million. They're over the luxury tax threshold. So their numbers at $268 as of this morning with a roster, and they owe baseball $8 billion next season for luxury tax payments. So the Padres are at the upper limits, and
$8 billion?
$8 billion.
You mean million?
I'm sorry. $8 million. Yeah, I got too much information.
It's okay.
So anyhow, that's where the Padres are. So the Padres are kind of backed into the corner as to what they can do in terms of acquisitions. And a new owner coming in is going to inherit debt and inherit a high payroll and inherit a luxury tax payment. And the Angels, boy, the heat being directed at Perry Manassian is beyond description. So he holds a press conference this past week, and he praises player development. And the media looks at him cross-eyed and said, the national rankings of all the baseball teams, the Angels are either 28th, 29th, or 30th in player development. How can you praise your farm system? You have only 2 of the top 100 players in all of minor league baseball. And Manassian got all up in arms over the media's tone of questions. It's just a mess. And they have now signed 10 players in the offseason. A couple of them obviously are pitchers with track records in the past. A couple of them got a history of injuries. They've not signed a difference maker at all. It's like they're just renting guys with the hope. It's like they're throwing names up on the wall and hopes a name or two sticks up there. Just, God, this looks, I swear to you, John, this looks so hopeless up in Anaheim. So anyhow, that's where we are with the Dodgers, who say to Kyle Tucker, here's our offer. Yes, it's our offer. You want to win a ring? So we got the Dodgers, you got the Padres issues, and you got who the Angels are acting like they are.
I mean, that's good on the Dodgers. That's the right card to play, you know? And it's just like the Dodgers that do everything right, and the Angels do everything wrong, and the Padres are somewhere in the middle. But, you know, you had written in your best 15, this was interesting because, like, while I was surfing, you know, through X, there was like the LaCobb story came up, and there were people who are saying that he would want to move the team back to Oakland. And I'm thinking, okay, that sounds ridiculous. That probably wouldn't happen. But then in your best 15, you said that the Petco Park lease is only till 2033.
Yeah, there are options beyond that the Padres would. Why would you leave hot market, number 2 in overall attendance? And there is nothing in Oakland. There's no support. Decayed state. That makes no sense at all. But that's just Johnny sitting on his couch drinking beer saying, oh, I'll write this on the internet or on X and see what kind of response. No, that's not going to happen. LaCobb's a good owner. LaCobb's wanted to be in baseball. Granted, he's a Bay Area guy, but that doesn't mean he can't be the guy here. But the thing is, a franchise worth $2.5 billion, that's the cost to buy it, and you're inheriting franchise debt and you're inheriting stadium debt that you're taking on.
Yeah, it's very unlikely they would move. But if the Padres move, that would be so San Diego. No. I mean, we've gone through that so many times, so many teams. So it's just weird juju, you know.
Don't waste my time talking about junk.
And yeah, I'm good on the media for Hammer and Perry Manasian. I mean, we need a 5-point plan, you know, some vision statement for the Angels and what they're trying to do.
It's absolutely amazing. By the way, sidebar comment on the Padres. Let me throw this out at you, because John and I have talked extensively. Padre fans, you can join us in Fans Forum with a response. I'm sitting here, and my left hand says, they got Nick Pivetta. They obviously believe that Michael King can come back. There is hope that Joe Musgrove can be Musgrove. I don't think they've got a hell of a lot after that that's really trustworthy. But my right hand says they got Pivetta. They've monitored the workouts of King, and there's been no setbacks. They fully believe Musgrove can be what Musgrove's been because he's been in rehab for over a year and a half now. They must firmly believe Randy Vasquez takes the next jump. And they have a load of Double-A pitchers led by Bradley Rodriguez, MJ Mendez, Humberto Cruz, and Garrett Hawkins. So they must really be of the opinion, even though they're tapped out financially and kind of against the wall budget-wise, that they're going to have enough pitching, they'll find enough pitching. So they must believe in King and believe in Musgrove. So maybe what we should do is kind of step back from the analytical critique and say, okay, let's see what spring training brings. And maybe Brad Rodriguez is a good fourth or fifth guy, or maybe some of these other guys will take this next step. The Mendez kid has got great credentials in A and Double-A, and let's just see if somebody else is out there. So they view it from a different prism than I'm viewing it, because they're with these guys every minute of every day. So do you believe in my left hand that they got problems, or my right hand is wait and see?
Well, first of all, there's no way that you're going to take a step back and relax on the criticism. I mean, that's just who you are.
It's called analysis.
Yeah, analysis. I mean, again, I think AJ is cooking. You know, he's scheming. I mean, I had no idea it was in on the Arenado thing until we found out here just recently. So he's got things going on. I mean, is he counting on some of this, you know, depth? I would hope, you know, some of those pitchers you don't want to slot them into your rotation. They're not at that level. So there's got to be another deal or a free agent or a trade coming. We just don't know what it is.
I concur. So we'll leave it at that. We'll talk more about it in the next couple of weeks. We're only 4 weeks out from the start of spring training. Padre fans, you agree with my left hand? They got problems? Or do you subscribe to my right hand? They know what they have, and maybe they believe in what they have, and that's why maybe they're not panicked whatsoever. So we go from all that. Next topic on the table, John.
Yeah, we're going to talk some hoops. Got Lakers news and the Mavericks.
This one's really hard to believe. I mean, the Lakers are playing hot. They're playing cold. You know, it's a Lakers team that views itself as somebody of power nature in the NBA West, and yet gave up 124 points to the 8-30 Sacramento Kings the other night. Jeez. Anyhow, I've done this a long time. I don't understand why this is being allowed to happen. I don't understand why the union has not done an intervention. They need to put a lid on this. LeBron James's agent is Rich Paul. Rich Paul is a power broker. Rich Paul goes on a podcast over the weekend and says the Lakers should trade Austin Reeves, and says, send that guy to Memphis and get this player, that player, etc. And then he goes on another podcast and says Dallas should trade my client Anthony Davis right now. And Davis, of course, is out with another injury for another 6 weeks with his hand injury and has refused to have surgery. I have never seen, and I inquired with somebody that covers the NBA, I've never seen agents conduct business in public like this. He has no right, and it's a violation of the Code of Ethics of Agents. It's written there in the union handbook. He has no right to talk about players represented by other agents, and yet he's done it. And evidently there was a meeting, a confrontation, a conversation at the Laker home game over the weekend between Austin Reeves' agent and Rich Paul. Where does this guy get off talking about trade this guy, trade that guy? Lakers need to put a lid on Rich Paul. Yes, he may represent LeBron James, but Rich Paul's got no right to make any comments about other players on that roster represented by other people. So that was really a stunning story. Where the hell's the ethics and all that? Just definitely blows my mind.
He needs to write a manifesto like Jerry Maguire.
Holy cow. The union's really upset. Union needs to crack on this guy.
Yeah.
I've never seen this ever. You know, front office executives cannot comment on players and other rosters.
See, I never knew that rule extended to the agents. I just knew it was to owners and GMs.
I think it's called Article 8 in the agent's handbook.
Article 8?
Article 8.
Oh, listen to you.
Okay, I know everything about everything. You're a basketball fan. Rich Paul got a right to be an asshole? You tell me. Hey, that's what he said on podcast. He's talking about other players represented by different agents that they should be traded from his client's team. Holy cow, that's amazing. Okay, we go from that. Next topic on the table.
This is a big one. You want to go to the big board right away, Lee? You want to kind of tee it up?
Okay, let's just start. John and I have talked for 3 years running since we started this podcast about the war between PGA Tour, LIV, all the players who jumped, like 37 players jumped to Saudi Arabian golf, took the blood money, and have played for 3 years. Nobody watches the tournaments. Nobody goes to the tournaments. It's like they're on another planet. And I wondered how long this was going to go. The Saudis are just losing billions annually by running the PGA Tour with these guys. Now, the first one has left. Brooks Koepka opted out. Brooks Koepka met early in the week with the PGA Tour and was reinstated. He pays a severe readmittance fee, and nobody's really talked extensively about this. He pays $5 million to rejoin the PGA Tour. All that money goes to PGA charity. He forfeits any chance to win player equity money, which is based on the performance he's going to have in 2026, which is massive bonus money. And even if he has a really good season, he will not get bonus money from the FedEx points system at the end of the year. So he paid a phenomenal price. Now, people were asked in the last 48 hours their reaction. Tiger Woods' base comment, golf wins, we get a great player back like Brooks Koepka. Other golfers said, there's a price you had to pay for what you did to the PGA Tour by violating your card. Third golfer said, we now see a path for other guys to come back if they wish. Fourth player was shocked, said this is punishment, it was real. Fifth player said it's a message, there's no free pass to any player going forward. Last player said, you want to compete against the best, Brooks Koepka coming back is the best. It's good for golf. That being said, same offer was made available to Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm. They turned it down. They're going to stay in LIV. No offer has been made to the ringleaders. Not Phil Mickelson, not Dustin Johnson, no one else who vacated. So that's really interesting. Is this a solution? The PGA Tour says no. This was an isolated offer made to a select group of players who were eligible to leave LIV. Only one of them came. This is the price you have to pay. Readmittance, penalty, fee to get back in good graces. What do you think, John?
Well, I like the fact that the dam is starting to break a little bit, right? We got some defections, so hopefully the Berlin Wall is going to fall here and we can get these guys back together on a single page. But if the PGA really wants to bring their guys back, save the sport, bring everybody together in a single sanctioning body, why are they being so punitive in the punishment to come back? You think that they would make it... they need to slap them on the wrist. They need to pinch them a little. But it's not like they need to, vacate huge money for the decision these guys made.
Yeah, but if they damaged the tour and they violated the tour card and they made all this money going across the street, and by the way, not everybody's in favor of this deal with Koepka, you have to pay a significant penalty. And I would think forfeiting equity money, forfeiting FedEx bonus money, and a $5 million contribution,
Yeah, I mean, if I'm one of those LIV players, I just say, screw that, I'll just stay here.
Yeah, but you're playing on the moon and nobody cares.
Well, yeah. I mean, so, you've already kind of done the deal with the devil, right? You've already jumped in bed with Live Golf. I think you kind of have to stay there unless you either are willing to take a big financial punch in the nose like Koepka, or, you hope that they change the rule.
I don't think they changed the rule because they seem really steadfast. And by the way, Koepka got $100 million in blood money to go there. So he's $5 million and he's going to lose bonus money coming back.
Yeah, I know. It just seems punitive, And by the way, violated the tour card. I mean, they get a PGA Tour card.
Yes.
And I'd imagine that means there's a rule book that's kind of linked to that, right?
About what you can and cannot do.
Okay.
And if you violate the tour by going somewhere else and playing for money where the tour is going on, that's significant.
Interesting.
So that's where we are. You're a golf fan. Koepka decision. Fair? Unfair? Final topics on the table here. Headlines.
Yeah, headlines. Kicking it off with the NCAA again.
Yeah, let's just talk about this NCAA football situation as it relates to this mess. We're going to talk basketball now. FBI this morning handed out indictments naming 3 ringleaders, 20 college basketball players, and a former NBA player, Antonio Blackney, who set up point shaving for the last 2 years in college basketball. It started in China. It's spilled over to Division I basketball. It's implicated players at DePaul, at LaSalle, at Tulane, and a number of small colleges, North Carolina A&Ts of the world. These guys fixed games, bets that brought in profits of anywhere from $101,000 to $494,000 in certain games. These guys have all been indicted and have now been all arrested. And by the way, one of the ringleaders who worked with this former NBA guy, Antonio Blackney, who was throwing games in China, one of the ringleaders is the same guy that has been fingered in the Terry Rozier point issue with the Miami Heat, Charlotte Hornets, etc. So it's a really ugly story. Soccer, San Diego FC. 2 sets of storylines. I guess I knew this was going to happen. Chucky Lozano says, I'm not leaving. I want to make this roster next year. He should be allowed to stay. SDFC says no. So now we got loggerheads between the Mexican star, they're going to move somewhere else or want to move somewhere else, and him saying, no, I'm going to stay in the facility and I want to make this team. They did give a 3-year contract extension with a 4th-year option to their great Danish star, Anders Dreyer. And they gave Mikey Veras a 3-year contract extension. Very impressive people. But now they got a problem with Lozano. I don't know how they're going to solve it. TV ratings. Nice logo, TV Guide. Let's just quickly run through yeah, it's so hacksaw. Thank you. TV ratings. Oregon, Indiana, 18 million viewers. Wow. That was pretty impressive. Miami, Ole Miss, 15.8 million haters of Lane Kiffin. Pretty good turnout. I'll be intrigued to see if they're going to top 18 million with the Monday night championship game, all things Indiana against the Hurricanes. NFL TV ratings. I don't know what the hell people were doing on the weekend, but Eagles, 49ers, 41.9 million viewers. Wow. Yeah, wow is right. Buffalo, Jacksonville, 32.7 million. Chicago, come from behind, win over Green Bay, 31.6 million. Pittsburgh, Houston, as lopsided as that game was, 29 million. Chargers, New England, 28.9 million. I was really disappointed. I thought Rams, Carolina would be a bigger draw, just over 27 million. So that's where we are there. All things National Football League. I wish I could give you good news on the Ducks, but they continue to play and they continue to struggle, and maybe it's time to start calling out people. Their kids have played well. Their kids, though, are hurt now. Their kids have been sick. Their goaltending's been shaky. I just went through the whole Ducks list. Get this stat. They're paying a lot of money. Mikael Granlund, who came from the Dallas Stars, has 8 goals in half a season. Ryan Poehling, who came from the Flyers, has 3. Alex Killorn, ex-Tampa Bay, has only 4. Frank Vetrano, 3. Ryan Strome, 2. That is 5 guys, 5 key veterans on the Ducks have a combined 20 goals in the first half of the season. And they're paying significant money to Granlund and a few of these other guys. So they got to figure this out. These guys have got to get this thing out of neutral and score goals. This team is not in the playoff race now. They've gone from first place to the middle of the pack because veterans are not scoring goals at all.
We're so hopeful.
Yeah, exactly. I was early in the season. And these guys are untradeable because of the contract. Someone's going to trade for a guy that's got 2 goals that's making $8 million a year.
Yeah.
So they got a lot of work to do to try to fix that makeup of that roster. So, John, did I use the word tip of the iceberg months and months ago about this gambling thing in college basketball? You got that? You got SDFC? Go ahead.
Do you still subscribe to TV Guide?
No. Is TV Guide still in print?
You probably still have the yellow pages, the white pages. I know you get the LA Times and the Union Tribune delivered to you still.
Yes. It's in a driveway every morning. That's okay. It's kind of old school. There's nothing wrong with old school. Old school's experienced.
It's just classic hacksaw.
But you know what? The difference is, because I heard you say this right before this podcast started. John says, you got to see this. I just found this. So he's scrolling through his cell phone. Hey, read this article. Oh, damn, all these ads keep popping up in this article on his cell phone. What? Not in my daily newspaper. The ads don't pop up and interfere with my ability to read the article.
Yeah, they just take up half the page.
Yep.
You know, so the point shaving thing was weird, you know, and then they came out with that list of those 17 schools. And I want to say I haven't double checked this, okay, but isn't Jeremiah Oden, who's on the San Diego State Aztec men's basketball team, was, I think, at DePaul a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he was at Wyoming, too.
And at Wyoming. But DePaul was on that list, and I think it was a couple of years ago. And so I'm wondering, I'm not saying that he was involved, but I wonder if he was aware of something going on while he was there.
No, they named the players that were involved. And actually, it's really weird. 4 of the players who got indicted this morning are still playing Division I basketball at different schools.
They've been indicted?
Yes.
And they're still allowed to play?
Yep. Well, innocent until proven guilty. Have not been removed yet by their coaches, but again, their names showed up this morning.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, there's this sort of point shaving thing is, you know, it seems to come and go, doesn't it? I mean,
well, the more they investigate, the more schools, the more names they find.
Remember the point shaving at Tulane back in the 80s?
Yeah, sure.
That was a huge thing.
And there was one at Boston College. It was just as ugly.
And then recently, I know there was a Fresno State, San Jose State kid that got hooked up into this. But yeah. I mean, it's nuts out there, but
I wish I had answers, but I don't. But kids have contacts are hooked up with bad people. And like I said months ago when this thing first surfaced, I bet this is the tip of the iceberg. Well, here's another layer of it.
Yeah. It just the hits keep coming. And, Chucky Lozano, you know, you think it's Chucky, pardon me.
Yes.
If the team doesn't want you, you just got to take the message. You just can't stick around and say, no, I want to stay, because you know the chemistry, the vibe is never going to be the same.
Well, make a deal, let him go back to Mexico and play in their league, because he wants to play for the Mexican side in the World Cup. But he's got to get back on the pitch and he's got to play. I'm not going to say he's toxic. I don't think they can move his contract to anybody else in MLS. Like I said, they spent $12 million to get him here from Eindhoven in Holland.
Yeah.
And then they gave him a $7 million deal. So he's going to be making money. They just want him out of here. And when you hear words like fit and chemistry and commitment, and they don't refer to him in those terms, they use those references as to why they're making a change.
Yeah, so I think that's a relationship that can't be put back together again.
Well, exactly. So we'll see if they can find somebody south of the border, the Guadalajara Chivases or whatever, that will take him on, because he obviously can still play when healthy, but he was only healthy about half the season. So, But now we got all this other baggage about attitude and work ethic and fit. It'd be interesting. Okay, it's your turn to join us. We are ready for Fans Forum. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you. Ever thinking about renovations in the home? Think doors, think windows. Think about the patio out by the pool. Go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things that they have to offer. John, I'm ready. We've done our job. People, fans forum, your turn. Do yours.
Okay, let's go here. We'll start with Michael. He says, hey, who are the Chargers looking for offensive coordinator?
Well, we ran through the list early on. The Chargers are talking, may have already interviewed the former head coach at Stanford, David Shaw. They just completed an interview late, I think yesterday or last night, with a quarterback coach. But they're going to run the whole survey. Names mentioned include Brian Daboll, ex-Giants coach, who I think's a good X and O's guy, David Shaw, Tommy Rees from Cleveland, Davis Webb from Denver, but they can't interview him until the Broncos are out of the mix, and Nate Scheelhaase. He's the passing game coordinator, Rams. All of a sudden, he's getting a lot of interviews as suddenly a hot candidate. I think they want dynamics. I think they want people who are going to throw the football. They got to fix the offensive line. Sure, Harbaugh wants to play tough guy football, run it. We got to have the offensive line. That's got to be fixed. But they need somebody that's going to mold the offense to the dynamics of Justin Herbert.
The Chargers are going to need another coordinator, too, for defense. I mean, it looks like Minter's going to probably get hired, Don't you think?
Yeah, well, they've got a secondary coach by the name of Steve Clinkscales, who's been with Harbaugh, Chargers, and at Michigan. I think he might get elevated.
Ah, okay. At least they have someone in mind for that job.
Yeah. It was interesting. I only saw bits of the press conference today, the season-ending malaise, and Harbaugh said it was not a question of if Minter will get hired to be a head coach, but when. And Jim said, Jesse Minter deserves to be a head coach. And like I said, I was told there may have been 9 contacts made for Jesse Minter. I think Pittsburgh's going to probably get the first kick at the can at him.
Interesting. Yep. You also said in the Best 15 that Justin Herbert did not appear at the ending press conference.
With the media.
Yeah, so that was a surprise, it caught you off guard.
Well, what else is he going to say except I did my best and we just didn't play well enough, et cetera? It's more generic. But at the end of the day, he's not going to condemn the coaching staff. He should condemn Greg Roman. I'll condemn Greg Roman. Your quarterback took 105 sacks in 2 years. That's not acceptable. And this coaching staff sat there and allowed this quarterback to get the crap kicked out of him and made no adjustments in terms of pass blocking and obviously don't have the right personnel. So I think there's going to be a shakeup in the offensive line. I think they're going to probably have to find a true fullback or maybe an H-back tight end who's a really good block. There'll be some adjustments in the makeup of the roster. So Herbert not meeting with the media, his comments are always really generic, and he's a good team guy. He's not going to condemn the fact, God, I took 105 sacks in 2 years. I'll tell you that stat.
Yeah, just a tangent. What is an H-back, and how is it different than a fullback or a tight end?
They're almost the same. Tight ends can catch balls downfield. Mm-hmm. H-backs are more wham blockers on run plays or guys that drop back on the edge and block.
Okay.
And fullbacks can run the football in close short yardage situations or maybe be good blockers. Chargers running backs are horrible in terms of blitz protection. And their offensive line sucks.
That ain't working.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go to Casey. Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, with my LA Kings struggling, do you think they fall out of making the postseason and possibly trading a few players at the trade deadline?
Well, they need goal scoring. It's kind of hit and miss right now. A lot of those guys have big contracts, and I think it's tough to find somebody that wants to take on somebody making $7 million. Everybody's kind of capped out. So I think if the solution's going to come from within, it's got to come from that roster, because I just don't think that they can make any transactions. The only ones that are making trades are the teams that have young rosters looking for veteran fill-ins and have some cap space. Montreal is the one that's making most of the trades right now because they got a great collection of young kids, but they need grit. But the other scenario, the other storyline is this roster is kind of underachieving. This roster plays for that guy, Jim Hillier. And we have another substandard year after a substandard playoff again with Jim Hillier as coach. Maybe we need to make a change in coaching. Hasn't happened yet, but if this losing, this struggle just continues, maybe they make a coaching change in midseason.
Well, we were just talking also about the Ducks are sliding. They were both at the top of the list.
Yeah, one was in first place, the other was in second at the beginning of the season. It's kind of all gotten away from them. In terms of the Kings, Kempe's been hurt, really dinged up. They got about 3 guys that are scoring goals for them, and Fiala's kind of cooled off after a phenomenal start. But you got Kopitar and you got Kempe and Fiala, and after that, it's been a huge drop-off. Quentin Byfield has not scored goals, and he had 21 last season. They need to get some guys going, and that hasn't happened yet. All right, thank you for joining us on the Kings line.
Okay, here's a couple of people on roll call. Michael, we already talked about him before. Good afternoon from Indy. Okay, we've got WLB. Hey, Cleveland checking in.
I used to work in Cleveland. 3WE, Pete Franklin, Sports Talk, Cleveland Crusaders, covered the Indians and Browns. And love Cleveland, winter weather accepted.
Listen to you, man. Mr. Midwest. All right, here we go. Yeah, from Trevin. Broomfield, Colorado. Show me your lightning bolt.
That's good.
So they're coming from everywhere here. Okay, let's go here to Callan. And he goes, hey, afternoon, gents. Hey, Saw, why in the hell would Barry Bloom write that LeCobb wanting to buy the Padres and move them to Oakland? I don't understand that logic whatsoever. No way that happens. Come on now.
Well, I don't know if it was a reach or somebody responded to the reach. I think Barry may have wrote generically that there are financial issues here, and the price tag to buy this franchise is going to be steep. Understand, the Seidlers bought the franchise for $800 million and got ownership in the Regional Sports Network. The Regional Sports Network has gone to bankruptcy. So that's a big issue. The Seidlers have debt load operating the franchise and a debt load for their share of Petco Park. And I happen to think the market is tapped out financially. I don't know how they can squeeze any more dollar bills out of me and out of him and out of the fans at Petco Park. And they're playing to capacity, and they rent Petco Park out for all kinds of unique events in the offseason. I credit Eric Grupner for creative juice to find other events to put in there, whether that's tractor pulls or motocross racing or rodeo, which is sold out there. But I think they've taken about as many dollars as they can out of the Gaslamp Quarter, and they got this. So LeCobb coming in, great wealth. LeCobb's got great reputation, has always wanted to own baseball, but I don't see him moving. Now, I think that was more fans' response to Barry Bloom's article about price tag and the cost of operation. So I don't think they'd ever move.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the most horrible thing to happen in San Diego. There you go, sports. We already lost the Clippers. We've lost the Rockets. We've lost the Chargers.
So you get Mr. Doom and Gloom here just losing his mind again.
I mean, come on, the San Diego sports curse is real, man. It's real.
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
Hey, thanks,
all right.
Callum.
Okay, let's go here to Chris. He goes, hey, I think Dayball will get another shot this cycle, Saw. Too many head coach openings this cycle.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, this is the first time in a group of years where we've had a lot of quality coaches out there. Harbaugh, first one off the books probably by nightfall tonight with the New York Giants. But you look at the young guns, the coordinator in Seattle, the coordinators with the Rams, the passing game assistant coaches with the Rams. If you look at Mike McDaniels, whom a lot of people hold in high regard, looks as if he's going to resurface. Mike McCarthy is still out there. I think of the 9 jobs, a lot of them are going to be filled pretty quickly. It's just who winds up landing there. Dayball had such a miserable run, though, as a head coach. They were 20-40. A lot of that's on the head coach. Organizationally, they screwed up their roster, but I think Dayball comes back, reinvents himself as a coordinator. I happen to think Dayball might be a pretty good coordinator in Boltville with Justin Herbert, because he does like to throw the football all over the place. But that goes hand in hand with Joe Ortiz has to fix that offensive front.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers have a lot of work to do here. That's absolutely true. But Dayball is an interesting character. I mean, it kind of got a little squirrely there at the end with the Giants. Remember, he was like in the blue tent, kind of impeding in that no zone.
Yeah, and the Jackson Dart concussion issue.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he was doing everything in his power to try to get his team to win because he knew he couldn't make it work with Jameis Winston at quarterback.
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting to see how quickly, once Harbaugh signs with the Giants, we think it could be by tonight. Once Harbaugh signs, then the pecking order takes place. Who hires Minter? I think he's probably the next guy off the board. And then if you just look at the other list of names out there, after Minter gets hired, Stefanski. So that's 3. They got Mike McDaniel, who's getting interviews for head coaching jobs. So now you got 4 of the 9 jobs that have been filled. Then you got all the hot young coordinators and passing game guys, like we just talked about Rams, Seattle, etc. So I think these jobs are going to get filled pretty quickly. But this is I think it's a unique blend of coaches that all of a sudden just surfaced. So that's where we are.
That's where we are. Okay, let's talk here a little more about the NFL with Phenom. Phenom, thank you for the donation. He says, I think it's going to be Denver-Seattle in the Super Bowl. Seattle is the current favorite to win the Super Bowl of playoff teams, plus 280. Seattle underrated, especially on defense. Hey, your picks for the Super Bowl?
Well, Legion of Doom in Seattle is pretty impressive. I think San Francisco has just gone as far as they can. What a phenomenal season that they've had. I think the Rams win in Chicago. I think Stafford's experience, bad weather and all, plus his playmakers, a little bit better than Caleb's inexperience and bad weather. And Chicago's skill guys are not equal to the Rams' skill guys. That's how I view that. In terms of Drake May proved a lot to me against Jesse Minter's defense when they really finally beat the Chargers. I'm worried about C.J. Stroud, just the turnovers, and the focus. And in terms of Denver, Buffalo, I mean, we're not going to argue about the Orange Crush. They're really good. But that is Josh Allen. That is Superman. And I'll tell you, Bo Nix, we have stretches where he makes a bunch of plays, but Buffalo's defense is really good. So I'm picking Buffalo, Denver. I'm picking Rams, and probably Seattle.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these games again, and you can see them going either way, a lot of these.
No, I just told you who's going to win.
Okay, you did. All right.
You'll be buying me breakfast.
No, well, I'll look at this list. Okay. L.A., early on, I thought they were the big favorite to win this thing. How can I not pick them anymore? I don't know. I just don't have confidence with them. And the Niners, of course, that's where my heart is. But I think the Seahawks are probably going to emerge. And out of the AFC, I think this is Denver's year. I mean, they're sort of the number 2 seed, but they're still kind of under the radar.
But that's Josh Allen.
Yeah, but he's on the road.
And that's James Cook. Did it bother him? No. They're winning all these road games.
All right, well, we'll see.
Okay, but I like pancakes. You're going to buy me pancakes Monday at 7 a.m.
Yeah. Okay. Here, let's go here to Teamer. Hey, Hacksaw, I think Artie Moreno is doing these Dollar Tree moves because I think he's going to move the Angels because the stadium lease is over in 2032.
Well, but where's he going? Where's he going? Fargo? Where's he going? You know, I understand Portland's going to build a stadium, but it's got to be built. Until it's built, it's not built. I'm disturbed because I just don't like any of the methodology of what's happening with Angel baseball. And they've taken so many hits from a credibility standpoint. You know, we talked extensively about the Tyler Skaggs tragedy, and I was aghast that the jury was about to blame Artie Moreno for the death of an Angel pitcher that was dealing drugs in a clubhouse and snorting his brains out, and they blamed Artie Moreno because his PR guy was a drug addict too. That was far-fetched. And there's a really bad story that's out there right now. The Athletic just printed this piece, and it portrays the Angels in a terrible light. Now, maybe it's going to change. They have a young Class A outfielder in the Pacific Northwest League who suffered brain damage in an auto accident. He was in a car that flipped, and he got ejected. He was with a woman who was drunk, and 3 people got injured, and he suffered catastrophic injuries. And he's from Atlanta. Family does not have much money. Their insurance is running out. And they went to the Angels and asked for additional help, like, would you pick up his insurance? And the Angels had not yet responded. Now, the union has intervened what's the kid's name? Is it Rio Owens, I believe it is, a young outfielder, a really good Class A player. The union has intervened through the baseball assistance team, BAT, and going to try to help this family get some insurance coverage, etc. But the article really paints Artie Moreno's organization in really a bad light because they did not respond to the family's request for help. So you got Moreno in this, you got Moreno in the Skaggs situation, you got all these last place finishes, the horrors of the Rendon and Josh Hamilton's contract. There's so much negativity wrapped around Angel baseball. Fans feel like they walk away from this. And I'm not blaming Artie all the time because he inherited some of this. He's made mistakes, but he's also done a lot of good things too. But my God, the negativity around everything in Orange County is terrible.
This is the best theory I've heard to explain what's going on with the Angels roster making decisions. Because you can see a scenario. I mean, again, I'm just, winging it here off the top of my head. But you would think that Artie Moreno has got to be very depressed. I mean, all this keeps happening to him. He's probably going to say, maybe I just need to get rid of this team.
But he hasn't.
But see, if the lease is up in 2032, he might have like a 2-year, 3-year plan. I don't know. He might have like a exit plan that he's mapping out to switch ownership, to move the team, whatever it is. Because otherwise, I don't understand the strategy of what they're trying to accomplish. I'd imagine the revenues are still pretty good because the Angel fans show up. They probably have a pretty good TV package. I don't know the detail.
They don't. They're part of this whole FanDuel crisis.
Oh, they are?
Oh, yes.
Okay. They're one of those 9?
There's one of those 9.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. It's just a mystery.
Their budget, as of breakfast this morning, their budget is $30 million under what they spent last year, and they haven't spent it. And then they redid the Rendon contract, and that money's still in the till.
Well, the bunch of these guys they signed, though, were like 1- and 2-year deals for like
no money at all,
like $5 million a year.
Shopping at Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
So what's your methodology? What's your blueprint? Why are you acting this way?
Yeah. See, it doesn't make sense. It's not rational. Mm-hmm. So there's something happening that we don't know. Because otherwise, why would you own a Major League Baseball team and not want to be an active owner and build a winner? I mean, if you're just doing it as a money-making machine, there's a lot better ways to make money than owning a pro team.
Sadly, and I like Artie, and I've interviewed him a couple times, I think he's gun-shy. I think he's so gun-shy because of all the things that have happened to him.
I don't blame him.
Since he owned the franchise. And some of them he brought on himself, but a bunch of them are just accidents. So I wish I had an answer for you. I think it's abysmal. And, for Perry Manassian to stand in front of the media and just say, I'm saluting our player personnel organization. What? Your farm system has not produced hardly anything recently, and you only got 2 of the top 100 players ranked, and everybody you're signing is a 1-year contract, guy coming off surgery, guy somebody else didn't want. I mean, are there any difference makers there? It's bizarre. It's really bizarre. I mean, and Artie made all of his money in advertising and billboards. Imagery, right? And what's the imagery? It's being projected by his franchise in the way it's been operated. To me, that's shocking.
Well, also the whole fiasco with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim and all that business, it just doesn't make sense. Everything about it doesn't make sense.
We'll see where this goes. Okay, thank you for the input. Good to have you on board.
Okay, let's go here to Mark, talk about NFL coaches. He says, hey, what about Chris Shula to the Pittsburgh Steelers as the head coach?
He is going to interview. I think he's got 4 or 5 interviews. But I think Minter's reputation right now, both what he did at Michigan, what he's done in a couple of years with the Chargers, I think Minter is probably ahead of him in the pecking order. And then there's a whole second tier of veteran coaches who tried to rebuild their resumes. Jim Schwartz in Cleveland. Despite the mess in Atlanta, Raheem Morris is getting interviews as head coach. Vance Joseph, whose defense is the Orange Crush in Denver, he's getting interviews. So, I mean, there's a whole laundry list of hot candidates and second-time-around candidates. Probably a bunch of them are going to wind up with jobs.
It's interesting. This is another case. We talked about nepotism. There's so many fathers, sons. I know this is the grandson of Don Shula,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, you got the Shulas and the Harbaughs and, the LaFleurs and, it's interesting, so they, and I would imagine they're all from similar coaching trees and, similar philosophies. What are your thoughts about Shula getting the head coach job with the Miami Dolphins? Could that happen? That'd be kind of clever.
But there's also a sentiment out there, because there's an experienced coach that just interviewed there who's got reputation. Kevin Stefanski, 2-time Coach of the Year. And what's their biggest need in Miami? Figure out what you're doing with Tua Tagovailoa, what you're doing with Tyreek Hill, and can you fix it? And you could fix it better with a Stefanski than you could with a young first-time head coach defensively.
Yeah, especially Tyreek's a personality, too. That's a tough one to manage.
Okay, thank you for the input.
Okay, let's go here to Lenny. Because Herbert choked like he did against Houston. Everybody has injuries. Herbert did okay in the regular season with the same O-line. Hadel, Fouts, same as Herbert. Stan Humphries took the Chargers to the only Super Bowl.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you totally, because this is a byproduct of the mess in the offensive front. This is a byproduct of an offensive coordinator who would not restructure his play calls and made that quarterback stand in the pocket, try to go through progressions while he was getting hammered. I mean, 105 sacks in 2 years. That's not on Herbert. That's on the system and the players in front of Herbert. So totally disagree. Can they fix it? Sure they can. I think they're going to be active in the offseason. I think you go get another big wide body center. Becton has turned out to be a really bad investment who did not fit what Roman wanted. He didn't fit what they needed, my theory is, you got this roster, make your offense fit to the strengths of Justin Herbert. Don't make him stand back there, count the house, and get killed with the hope that maybe he's going to complete a pass. And don't tell me you're going to run the damn ball, because Harbaugh's a tough guy. You haven't run the ball 2 straight seasons, and your quarterback has just been plastered. So this is on Harbaugh, this is on Roman, this is on a failing offensive line. It's less on Justin Herbert. The kid had 4,300, 4,400 all-purpose yards running for his life, making plays. They don't win 11 games without him 2 years in a row. So you could yell at me. Maybe I'm wrong. Nah, I'm not wrong. I've been my whole life covering the NFL, broadcasting the NFL. I'm telling you what I see.
There was a time in my life where I was emotionally attached to the Chargers, and I disconnected that, thankfully. If I did, I'd be, I'd have some serious health problems if I were still in that roller coaster every week. But when someone presents a challenge like that, the same old Chargers, they always choke and Fouts and blah, blah, you have no comeback. I mean, there's nothing.
No, there is a comeback. The Fouts era failed because they did not build a defense to complement the greatness of Dan Fouts.
Yeah.
The Phillip Rivers era probably failed because it was mistakes after mistakes made on games that were winnable that they could not win. But I don't think it was so much on Rivers or Gates or Tomlinson as it was on the other side of the football and turnovers and mistakes and breakdowns in postseason play.
But still, it's fail.
But there's always explanations.
Well, I think, Lenny, by the way, I know he's from Vegas. He might be a Raider fan. And you don't want to hear Raider fans talking about this stuff, about the dented, dusty trophies in the back of the closet.
Oh, Lenny. Lenny, please explain to me why you would support anything that has a composite record of 131 wins and 242 losses. That is the Raider record since their last playoff win. And by the way, their last playoff win was 2002. Ooh. So, Lenny, instead of bagging on Bolts, you got to write your opinion on Justin Herbert or whoever. Explain to me why you would ever support that in Vegas, the silver and bleak.
Talk to me, Raider Nation.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go here to what's this say, Santabury? He goes, hey, when Denver wins the Super Bowl this year, how much better will they be next year with Russell Wilson's money gone? The Chargers need to worry.
Well, Bo Nix made a big jump his second year. Now, I'm a little stunned. I don't think offensively they're yet where Sean Payton really needs them to be in terms of power run game. And their offensive skill people at wide receiver, tight end, some Sundays they don't show up. And how could that be? You're paying Cortland Sutton a lot of money. I've seen nothing from Evan Ingram up until the back end of the season. He started to catch some patches in postseason. Bo Nix has been playing off his shoes. Defensively, they're really spectacular, and they're going to get money. And I have no doubt that once they're rid of this Russell Wilson cap issue, they'll be back into the marketplace to go get more people there. So, they made great progress, and Bo Nix has taken a really big jump.
Remember the first year that Sean Payton was there? It was like a disaster. Mm-hmm. Remember, because they had Russell Wilson and they took on that big deal to get him before they got Peyton, didn't it?
Well, it was past management. I'm not sure. I don't think Peyton was part of that deal. That was made, I think, by the general manager, George Payton.
Yeah, Payton, right, exactly. So the point is that when Sean Payton arrived, it was a cluster. I mean, they had salary cap problems. Russell Wilson wasn't the same Russell Wilson. And look how quickly he turned it around. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really a remarkable story.
Oh, it is. It really is. And the defense has really, really come together. I mean, they made some good acquisitions. Nobody talks about – it's not sexy to talk about defensive tackle. Zach Allen is a really good player. I'm trying to think. He come from Miami. They got him as a free agent. What a warrior he's turned out to be. And all these linebackers have gotten Singleton and obviously Patrick Surtain and the kid they just drafted out of Texas this past year. That's a really good layers of experience on that roster and a bunch of athletes, and they'll probably be better a year from now. Denver, thank you for joining us.
Denver, get those lines lit. Okay, let's go here to Army Mom. He goes, hey, Lee, we love you. In the NFL, on the coaching front, who will be the best guy for my Cowboys for the DC position?
It's really interesting because Brian Flores' name swirled at the end of the season, hot candidate head coach, and he's not had many interviews. Now, maybe he's just going to be a lifetime defensive coordinator, but I would tend to think that maybe Brian Flores, and Minnesota does not want him to leave, but maybe Brian Flores winds up going to Dallas. I would think that. There are a whole bunch of guys there. It's interesting. I've not heard them mention Jesse Minter as a coordinator, but again, Minter wants to be a head coach and going to be a head coach. Maybe in a week he'll be a head coach, maybe starting in Pittsburgh. But there's a bunch of good defensive guys out there. But I'd say Flores more than anybody right now. If not him, Raheem Morris. If he doesn't get a head coaching job out of Atlanta after getting fired by Atlanta, if he doesn't get hired now, he might wind up in Dallas. I'd say one of those two names you might want to pay attention to.
It's kind of cool when a guy like Robert Saleh is an example,
yes,
where you were a defensive coordinator, you get a head coach job.
Overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, and it was the Jets, and they were just a disaster. He gets his old gig back with San Francisco, and now he's one of the top candidates, and maybe not in the Harbaugh level, but he's up there.
Yep.
So it's nice to see guys being able to move around, and none of them are like retreads. I mean, I just remember some of the Chargers head coaches were just awful. I mean, Norv Turner was just – why didn't Norv Turner win?
Good question. Great X's and O's guy, but the game was too big for him, I guess, every other spot. Yet he kept getting hired. Got hired by Al Davis. Got hired by Spanos. Mm-hmm. Got hired in Washington. It's just – that makes sense to me. Great man.
Oh, I'm sure.
Great X's and O's guys, but some guys are not cut out to be head coaches. So, and you mentioned Saleh. Saleh's name is hot in Miami. But they have to figure out what's more important. Do we get a different type of head coach, or do we try to fix the quarterback situation? Which means to me, Stefanski might be the guy in Miami. If not Stefanski, then Saleh might be there in Miami. But that doesn't solve how you're going to solve the quarterback issue.
Did you see how they were going back? Like Saleh had gone back to, I think it was a previous fourth down from an earlier game a year or two ago.
Yes. Oh, everybody stockpiles video. And says,
so they go, I know what they're going to run here. And he had the right defensive scheme with a bunch of no-name guys back there.
It was a tush-push thing.
No. I think it was the last play of the game, that fourth down pass that, that Hurts did not complete to the tight end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he had the scheme for that. So it's cool. I'm happy for the guy.
Okay, we move on.
Well, Army Mom has just a quick follow-up. Best pure sports live show on the internet or anywhere for that matter. You guys rock. Show me your lightning bolts.
Thank you. You're right. We are bleeping brilliant. I will say this. John and I have had a lot of fun. We work really hard. I mean, you people need to check my website. You need to read the best 15 minutes in sports every day. Do you understand how much time it takes me and him to put that package together? You need to get on our email list so you can get the 2 newsletters that we send out every day. So this is really a labor of love. So we enjoy it and we thank you for doing it. But you need to tell people who we are, what we do. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the follow button. Give us a 5-star rating because that really helps us grow this thing.
Every night, man, you're up late watching games, writing your stories until you just crash out at 10:30.
Yeah, I just zone out. You don't want to talk to me after 9 p.m. because I'm not real good with subjects and verbs.
Yeah, and then Mrs. Hacksaw is always upset about the Steelers losing.
All the freaking time. The stuff that came out of her mouth during that Steeler loss to Houston.
Okay, this is just a fun poke from Do You Love It? Drake Mayo, ha ha ha.
Drake Mayo.
You said that. It's funny. It's just a funny thing.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. That's why we love you, Hacksaw. Okay, let's go here to this is Army Mom again. Sorry, we got to get more folks involved. Here, let's go this place. Do you love it? Gents, Padres going to make a big move or stay small?
Well, big question. I think they're financially tapped out. There's an intangible. John and I talked about this earlier in the podcast. They know so much about the young pitchers they have stockpiled. It may well be that they've got real confidence that, first of all, that they believe Michael King is 100%. There have been no setbacks. They believe after a year and a half of rehab that Musgrove might be vintage Musgrove. We obviously seen more good innings and bad innings from Randy Vasquez. And then if you look at the whole layer of guys at Double-A, they must have confidence that Mendez or Garrett Hawkins or one of these other guys is going to make this jump from Double-A, and maybe there's enough depth there. I don't know. If they have any setbacks with King or Musgrove, then they're in a world of hurt. The other factor is if you trade somebody, who's left in the farm system to trade? Secondly, if you trade Cronenworth, now you create another hole in your everyday lineup, and they're still trying to finish the construction of who's at first, who's part-time DH, et cetera. So I think the intangible, that they have a lot of confidence in that layer of young guys that I just talked about, maybe that's the reason why they are where they are. Or maybe the reality is they can't spend any more money.
Yeah, this is also another weird one because we're sort of speculating that their budget is shrinking, but then Grupner said it was business as usual.
Yeah, but look at the number they're at. They're at $268 million total payroll now, and they're going to owe $8 million more in luxury tax payments to Major League Baseball. That's if they don't add anybody else. The threshold's $244. Mm-hmm. They're at $268, which means there is another payment coming to baseball.
Yeah. So maybe it's just that they have to figure out a way to deal Pivetta, get a contract off the books, and then they can make the thing work, right?
Yeah, but then you're creating a massive hole for the number one starter. How do you help yourself that? I mean, you're telling me, well, maybe we'll get good young guys, but there might be prospects. Is anybody a warrior like Pivetta?
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, more baseball talk. This is with Daniel. Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. Comments about Cody Bellinger and the Yankees? I personally think he's asking for too much.
Well, it's the agent, Scott Boras. You think you have a deal with Scott Boras, and he comes back and says, oh, by the way, I'd like this added on, or I want this opt out, or I want this incentive clause. It's tough. I think the big debate is, there's hardly anybody left of marquee players. Who do you like better, Tucker or Bellinger? Now Kyle Tucker, that's pretty consistent ball play, but he's had injuries 2 years in a row. And you're going to pay a guy that's a .270 lifetime hitter that averages 25 home runs. You're going to pay him $50 million, and he also gets hurt? Or are you going to pay state-of-the-art money, Bellinger, who's had some really electric seasons, multi-position guy, including first base, still a really good athlete, but you're going to give him a 7-year contract because the agent asked for 7? It's tough negotiating with these guys. I think if it's me, I think there's more upside and a little bit more youth with Bellinger than there is with Tucker.
Yeah, they're very comparable, these two guys. So I don't know what they're going to do. You think the Yankees would want to hold on to their guy, right? And just re-sign Bellinger.
Yeah, but the Yankees don't want to give Bellinger 7 years. Yeah. The initial request was 7 years, $210.
But who else are they bidding against themselves? I mean, who else is in the?
No, Boris Kreitz a bidding war supposedly.
Yeah, I got a few mystery teams involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's go here to Manny. He goes, "Hey, Lee, breaking news: Clayton Kershaw has come out of retirement and has agreed to pitch for Team USA. How do you see Kershaw pitching in the World Baseball Classic?"
Well, he's got a lot of miles on him, but he's got a lot of experience in him. He's coming in. I don't think he's coming in to be a frontline starter. We don't have the roster yet, but he'll be in good shape, and it's not as if he's got to rush to get ready for an opening day. So everything he's doing in Texas right now is geared towards that third week of March, and he'll be ready for Team USA. Is he going to be the front end of the rotation? No, but I think he'll pitch.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see him there. It's a nice sort of swan song.
Yeah,
you know?
I think the big storyline is what happens over there, Japan. What happens with Ohtani? Is Team Japan going to go to the Dodgers? The meetings have not taken place yet. Is Team Japan going to say we want him in this rotation? And where does Sasaki and Yamamoto fit into all this? So the storylines with Team Japan are really going to be fascinating to see.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think in my head if any players have been injured in WBC. And I remember Diaz blew out his knee that one time, didn't he?
Yeah.
Celebrating. But have there been any other pitchers?
Well, there were pitchers in the last WBC that had shoulder and forearm problems because they were not ready for max effort in March, and they had to be max effort in the WBC. I want to say there were 5 or 6 pitchers that just kind of broke down. We got to the start of the season. All of a sudden, these guys were not in the rotation because they were ailing.
Well, see, and that's why they need to do this thing in the middle of the season. Yep. So your pitchers are worked up for that.
Yep, I agree. Okay, let's do a couple more here before we put a lid on it.
Okay, let's go here to the Daily Bluntathon. Hey, the Warriors should trade Kuminga to the Lakers for DeAndre Ayton.
Well, $25 million a year. I don't think the Lakers can take that contract on. And Golden State wants either draft picks or expiring contracts. This whole Kuminga thing, this has really turned out to be a very bad divorce. He held out. They didn't trade him. He agreed to a 3-year, $75 million. I think he started the first 12 games of the season and was playing okay, and then he went into a funk, and he has been planted on the bench 13 games in a row. He has not taken his sweats off 13 straight games, and I would have never thought anything Steve Kerr was involved in would turn out so ugly as it has with Kuminga. They're going to move him. Today's the first day he is eligible for a trade. He's going to get moved before the February 5th deadline. I don't know whether it's Toronto or whether it's Miami. He's going to move somewhere, but he kind of comes off looking like damaged goods. Really good player, but man, there's all kinds of attitudinal problems. And the question is, he's not a complete player, and has he made any point of a jump where you say, this guy's an established starter, he's making $25 million per season? It's really ugly.
Well, first of all, it'd be weird if the Warriors and Lakers traded with each other.
Well, that's not going to happen. Sacramento's the one that's there, but Golden State does not want the contract of, what's the guard, Malik Monk. He was offered. Golden State said, we want number 1 draft picks. But he could go to Sacramento, and we'll see if he turns out to be a player there, but he's not the player that everybody thought he would be. And it's not like this is his first dance. He's, a 3rd or 4th year guy. He was a developmental kid, played in the G League. He's from Africa. And I thought, boy, there's big upside here, but I don't see it.
Yeah, it's weird with him. And then even Ayton, you were hoping that the glass was half full and he was going to be this great addition, but he's just been so inconsistent. Yeah, exactly. He'll have big games and then he'll disappear.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Hey, you want to do a quick social media or two?
Well,
here?
I want to get music to my ears because he made a donation. Thank you again. Is Kyle Tucker holding up teams to not sign other players? Nobody wants Luis Ariz.
But you can't compare the Ariz status to Tucker. I mean, Tucker wants big money. Tucker wants term. Tucker wants opt-outs. Ariz's situation is just glitches in his game. I guess the general consensus is he's not a $14 million a year singles hitter because he doesn't run the bases well, has almost negligible power. I happen to like him. I thought he made himself a good first baseman, but he's a $14 million guy, and nobody wants to pay that. So that's why he's still unsigned. He'll probably wind up somewhere, but it's probably going to be for a lot less money, maybe with some incentive clauses, et cetera.
Yeah, he's the guy you plug in at the end, because he's a widget. He just does this one thing and he does it well. And we can question his value, but you're not making the deal for Luis Arraez now when you're talking about bigger fish. You're talking about guys that can transform an organization. To me, Luis Arraez is a guy that you say, okay, we're going to make a run this year. Let's add this widget to the toolbox.
For $14 million?
Well, yeah, I don't know about that.
So that's why he's not signed yet. And it's obvious to me he's not coming back to San Diego because I don't think they have any budget space left. Okay, John.
Okay, we'll go to social media now here. Just talk some San Diego State football. This was Stark, San Diego State. He goes, hey, a lot of players aren't bailing on him, though. Look at how many offensive players stayed. Majority of the transfers are defense due to Auric leaving. I think you're overblowing this. Also, look at how quickly Lewis picked up talent in the portal.
Well, he's been pretty active. He's got 6 or 7 actual D1 transfers from Power 4 conferences. To me, the big challenge is solve the quarterback issue because I'm not confident Jaden Denigal can do this. But he did get the quarterback from Kentucky, and that's what spring football will be all about. The only problem is there's no continuity at San Diego State. I got to rebuild everything. He's got to rebuild the offensive line. He's got all these receivers coming off surgeries. He's got to fix the running back room. He's got to rebuild the whole defense. So there's just no continuity. The reason they were 9-4 or red hot as they were was there was continuity from the end of the first year through the whole second year. Now it's like open up the playbook, gentlemen, so I got to teach you, and that's tough to do. So, but he's bounced back. And the other thing, it's an intangible thing, is he's gone into the marketplace and he's gotten smaller college kids that they think they can coach up. He gets a 6'7" tackle from Texas Southern, and he's got 2 kids from the University of Oregon, and he's got athletes from Portland State, guys that might have been missed in recruiting, guys that you think you can build up and make successful. So he's bounced back. But it's almost like he's starting from absolute ground zero again.
That's just the nature of everything in the sport. But imagine, he's been here 2 years, right?
Yeah, but he's heading to his 3rd season.
So he went 4-9 the first year.
3-9 to 9-4.
3-9. Okay, but he was the roster was very weak, right? I mean, it kind of was Hoke was right before him, right?
Yeah, and 42 kids left when Sean got here, and they never gave Sean Lewis a chance to experience what this was going to be.
Yeah, so he came in here with nothing, generally speaking, and he brought him up to in 2 years being 9 and it was 4, right? They lost in the play, and they made a bowl game. So there's something here to be hopeful for, and if he's coached up these other kids last year, he got good results. Let's give him another shot.
But they're starting at square one. It's like being an expansion team again.
Yeah, but so is Boise, and every team in the new Pac-12 is going through the same thing.
Not Boise. Okay. A lot of other people, for sure. Okay, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast. We sure do enjoy being with you. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Take a deep breath. Here comes NFL football Saturday and Sunday. Here comes the Monday championship game. We'll be back on the air Monday at 1:30, and I would assume more dominoes are going to fall really quickly in terms of baseball free agency, and I bet there'll be more coaching hirings that we'll be talking about aside from Harbaugh to the New York Football Giants. John, enjoyed it. Have a great sports weekend. We'll see you come Monday.
Yeah, the NFL playoffs and college football championship. I'm going to be on my TV all weekend.
You have a great sports weekend, too. Thanks, as always, for being part of Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast app.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.